Welcome back to another episode of the Know Your Power podcast. I'm your host, juliarene.
And Kendall Aaliyah.
And today, guys, we're talk about. Wow, this is a great start. We're talking about overcoming gym fears like gym anxiety, body image, losing progress. Maybe you're just like self-conscious in the gym. Maybe you're afraid of like failing at the gym, people staring at you, all of these different things. We did a poll on our Instagram the other day of like the most common things that people struggle with like in the gym. And these were the ones. And I could totally relate to like every single one of them, especially when I first started, but honestly still now.
I think that's people's biggest surprise every time we talk about this. They're like, well, you're a professional bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Well, you guys kind of work out for a living. Like, how could you still have any sort of anxiety or even know what I'm relating to in the gym? And it's like, no, we're still there. Yeah. I've talked about it. I go and hide in the locker room at least once every workout just to get my mind back right, because I might be overthinking. I might be anxious. I might be like overanalyzing or just like concerned with what's around me. So we all deal with it. I don't care how experienced you are. We all deal with it.
Yeah. And I think for me, the one thing that goes through my head is like, you are a professional bodybuilder, get your shit together. I'm like, people are looking at you like you should know what you're doing. And sometimes I'm like, how do you work this machine? I'm like, does anybody know how to work? Oh, it's that easy. Okay.
But see, like exactly, like it just takes asking sometimes. For me, my gym gets really busy and I just have social anxiety. So it's not really even like the gym causing me anxiety. The gym is the one place like I love life. Like I am my happiest. But sometimes there's so many people in the gym and I get really overwhelmed. So what I do is my gym's kind of like outdoor, indoor, and I'll go sit on one of the benches outside and then I'll be sitting there. And then my brain goes to, what if someone here knows you from Instagram and now they think you're lazy because you're just like out here sitting and looking weird? And then I overthink that and then it just kind of snowballs. So we all deal with some sort of anxiety in the gym for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. So like, let's talk about it. Let's open up the conversation about the gym anxiety thing, especially if you're a newbie. I mean, like one thing that I hear a lot of people say is like they're worried about people staring at them, like staring at them maybe in like a creepy way or in a you don't know what you're doing kind of way, like you look dumb. Have you ever felt that way?
For sure. And weirdly, I'm going to tell you, I've noticed this recently, the way I combat that, because yes, I hated when people would look at me. I would assume it's like they're noticing something negative about me or they're judging my workout, my sets. I literally used to think like they're going to know I just did 7 reps instead of the 8 I'm trying to do. They don't know what your workout routine is.
Do you think they're counting your reps?
No, absolutely not. And if they were, that's freaking weird. And first off, they don't even know how many you were trying to do. So like it literally is all in our heads. But I've noticed recently, I use delusion to combat it. I pretend that everyone that's looking at me, it must be in love with me. I've realized when I tell myself, I don't care if you're a man or a woman, if you're looking at me, I'm assuming you're obsessed with me. And that is the only thing that has made me okay, because people look at each other in the gym. Yeah. I sit there, I stare at people all the time. It's not really intentional. I'm never having thoughts about that person while looking at them. I just space out and I end up looking around, because it's weird when you're facing a mirror and you're just kind of like staring into your own soul. Like I like to let my eyes wander. I like to see what other people are doing.
I'm definitely a gym people watcher.
Exactly.
And now that I'm thinking about it, everyone else kind of probably is too.
And we're not judging them. So why are we assuming that they're judging us when they look at us?
It's so true. Like literally for me, I do it solely because I'm trying not to be on my phone. When I'm going to the gym, it's literally like, I don't want to be on my phone. I track my progress on my phone because I have my little training program, but that's basically all I do. I change my music through my headphones. Yeah. But yeah, I walk around to force myself, because I have a trouble not going to my next set too quickly.
Me too.
Like I always go to my set too quickly, so I have to do things like walk around, scan the gym so that I don't do that. And now I'm like, I'm probably really freaking other people out.
Exactly.
I'm probably the problem.
Am I
the drama?
Am I the drama?
But it's literally just because, like, if anyone words in my brain, it was like, don't go to your next set. You're not recovered yet. Don't go to your next set.
But literally, if your only gym anxiety is people looking at you, I promise you 99% of the time, they're either just looking at your outfit, they're spacing out, they're just like...
Maybe they are in love with you.
Exactly. That's what I tell myself. Or maybe they're just trying to see like if you're almost done, so because they want to use what you're using. Like rarely are they looking at you and judging what you're doing, what you're wearing, what you look like. Like rarely would that ever actually happen.
Yeah, because most like you're a person, and like you said before, if you're not doing that to other people, most likely they're doing the exact same thing that you're doing, which is like overthinking, wondering if like how other people are perceiving them. All of us are basically the same.
Yeah.
Like all of us are obviously unique humans, but at the core, like we're all thinking and doing the same things. So if you're thinking it, there's most likely another girl who's across the gym also worried if she's doing her set right, or also worried if someone's staring at her because of something's on her face, or like maybe her underwear is showing. Like I literally think about, like that was me yesterday. Yesterday I was like, everyone knows that my boobs are about to fall out of my top. And I'm like, nobody gives a fuck. And it's like, then there's also the thought of like, well, what makes you think that everything revolves around you and everyone's staring at you?
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
It's not,
again, or you could take my delusional approach and assume that they're staring at you in admiration.
You're like, I'm just a movie star.
And I know, look,
I'm
still fully aware up here. I know it's a delusion, but it really, I'm serious, helps me with my gym anxiety. Because if I immediately go to the flip side and I'm like, they're looking at something negative, then I spiral into anxious territory. Versus if I'm like, oh, they probably like my outfit, or like thinking of something positive that they could appreciate helps.
One of the weirdest stories, I don't even know where I heard it, but it might have been TikTok or something. Probably. All my education comes from TikTok.
Same.
Anyways, but so there was this girl who's working out at the gym, and there's this other girl that was filming her. And the first thing that the girl who was getting filmed thought was, oh my God, she's filming me because she's making fun of me. Yeah. She thinks that I'm doing it wrong, that I look stupid or something. And it turns out that the other girl was filming her because she wanted a video of how to do the set correctly. Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy?
It is. Because I think we would all assume that too.
Yeah, we just assume the worst.
Yeah, and then it ended up being something positive.
She's like, I'm about to be a viral TikTok sensation. She's like, and I don't even know why. Turns out the other girl was self-conscious about how she was doing her workout, and if she was doing it correctly, that she wanted to film someone that was doing the form correctly.
On the note of filming, I feel like that's its own gym anxiety beast. And I know we've gotten questions about like, how do you get comfortable like taking out your phone or even a camera in the gym? Like, isn't that scary? And if I'm being honest, like, yes, for a long time, I wouldn't post anything of me actually in the gym, because I was terrified that people were going to judge me or be like, oh, look at this bitch. Like, she thinks she's hot, like taking out a camera, like no one cares. And I've never gotten, like, I've gotten the one or two like weird old men who are like annoyed that I have a camera out. But at my actual gym where I am every day, no one even notices. No one even cares. If anything, like I've seen this one girl also on TikTok ask the people around her for approval first. They'll be like, hey, I'm putting up this camera. You're not going to be in it. I'm just like making sure you're okay with it. Like that doesn't hurt. I'm not brave enough to do that personally.
For me, I'm like, I'm going to ask for forgiveness instead of permission.
Oh, definitely. I try to find parts of the gym that are the most empty, or maybe where I'll have space to put the tripod where it's not going to be in anyone's way. Like those are little things you can do on your own to alleviate some of that fear, instead of like propping it in the middle of a busy gym is obviously going to be a little more nerve-wracking, but those are all factors you can control. And if it's something you want to do, I say just go for it. Just like bring your camera one day, see how it goes. If someone does say something to you, it's probably something within themselves. It's not really actually projected at you anyway.
And you see some of those like TikToks, like for example, I was watching this real controversial YouTuber who basically is saying like, girls, why are you getting mad with people who are staring at you in the gym when you're the one who's wearing like the provocative outfits? I don't know how I feel about that. Cause like on one side, I don't get mad and angry if men stare at me, because I know the things that I wear to the gym, and I love the things that I wear to the gym, and I wouldn't change it for anything. And I know that like my butt shows, like I'm a sweaty gal. I don't like to wear a lot of clothing to the gym. Yeah. If I could work out in a bra and underwear, I would. But no, I probably wouldn't, because that would be very scary. But that's just like how...
In a private gym. We get it.
That's how sweaty I get. And I just love the things that I wear. So like on one end, I don't get angry if men stare at me in the gym because of the things that I'm wearing. Mm-hmm. And I'm not like, why are you staring at me? Like, how dare you? Like,
I've never been that way either.
I don't get mad because I understand that I like what I am wearing, and I totally get that. But where I do get upset, where it's like the staring forever, that's when I get angry.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I don't mind if you stare at me, like if I get a couple of looks, or like there's a video in the background and someone is looking, never get mad about that. But if it's like forever and ever, then I say something. And
Julia's taught me to say something too. I'm
but I
definitely
always
learning.
I wait. And then there's also the part where it's like, but also like you can wear whatever the fuck you want. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
If you want to be full covered up in the gym, do that. If you want to wear sweats, do that. If you want to wear a little onesie that shows your booty cheeks, do that. I don't really care. You do what you want. But yeah, so I don't know what that has to do with anything that we're talking about, but I just wanted to state that.
I mean, those are certain things that like you need to understand, like what you're doing will sometimes create certain results. Like this same thing with the camera. I don't get mad at all if someone happens to be then right where I put my camera. I'll be like, I'm really sorry.
That's what also makes me mad. I've seen a lot of TikToks where people will put up their camera and there's people walking and just being gym people in the background, and they're getting mad as if like
this
they
isn't a public
own the
place.
gym and this is a public place and I'm an influencer and you shouldn't be in my video. I never get mad when people are in my video.
Never. I apologize.
No, I am always like, sorry. I will go die now. Let me just
every time my tripod is, I feel like it's in someone's way, I'll be like, I'm so sorry. Or like if I'm mid set, I'll be like, you can move it. You can move it. Like push it off to the side. I don't care.
Kick it over.
I'm like, do whatever you want. And they're always like, oh no, I'm sorry. Like
people
I just have to put this back.
People are always more sorry to get in your camera than actually get mad at being in view. I have found, which I'm just like, I always say to them, I say, don't apologize. This is also your gym. I'm the one who's inconveniencing you or whatever. But there are all those people that get like unrealistically mad, even if you're being very courteous of other people. But there is a ton of people, especially with like the new gyms and like Alpha Land and like things like that are popping up where it's like tripod central where you can't even like move. And I totally get that's annoying too. We're going on a whole other topic. But
overall, I just think it's knowing what you're getting yourself into. If you're wearing certain things, people might look at you in certain ways. That's just like, it's part of life. It's something you like learn to live with instead of assuming the most negative outcome. We're all people. It doesn't hurt to talk to people too. If you feel like you're in someone's way, even if it's not with a camera, say you're like getting in someone's way in their set, just like a quick, hey, I'm sorry, or like, hey, are you still using this? Like anything, any communication, I think breaks down a lot of that like fear barrier.
100%, because most of the time what we think is actually happening is not even happening. It's crazy.
We live in our heads, especially in the gym. I mean, it's a place where we're just kind of standing around. We have like music going. A lot of thoughts can be running through your head. So.
Oh, it's true. And then when the other day I was at the gym and the music stopped and everyone was like, put it on.
This is awkward.
Put it on. This is. I was like, you can hear me grunting. I was just
funny.
Like, Anyways, so that's a gym anxiety in its own. But let's talk about like actual gym anxiety when it's a busy gym, because Kendall and I struggle with this so much, and we still do to this day, even though like we are very confident in the gym, like we know what we're doing. We go in there, we typically have a plan. Still anxious. The times that I get the most anxious, and I'm actually getting ready to go to Alpha Land tomorrow and Friday, that gym I get the most anxious because
it's so busy.
It's so busy. There's so many people.
Hot too. Really
it's hot, and I'm a sweater. We already know that. And
what do you do to either prepare or combat when you're anxious in a busy gym?
So like for me, because especially like when I'm on season for prep, like I go to a lot of fitness conventions, I go to like a lot of different gyms, I travel for bodybuilding and stuff. And sometimes there's people there that follow me and I have to like have a game face on. So I just set an intention before I go into any of these events, just because I get very anxious and I always feel it because I'll pull up to the gym and I'm like,
my heart rate's always like 10 times the normal.
Every time. And I think I was going into one event that was FitCon, and I knew that there was going to be a lot of people there. And I let Ian and Zach get out of the car, and I was like, let me just set my intention and calm my anxiety really quick. And then I set it to be like, you're going to this. Why are you going to this? How do you want people to perceive you? How do you want them to feel when they meet you? And then it calms me down. Then I go in and I'm ready. So I have to do that tomorrow when I go into Alpha Land, knowing that there might be people there that either follow me on Instagram, or I might be seeing friends, and I have to be like on point. I'm going to be doing 2 YouTube videos back to back to back, and I need to be there and present with the people that I'm doing it with, which can be very anxious. It can also be very anxious if you're a newbie in the gym and it's packed and you feel like, oh my God, all these people know what they're doing and I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll just go into the bathroom, like you said.
Yeah, bathroom's always been my safe space for sure. Something I've noticed that I do is almost having backup exercises for myself. So like if you do write out your workout or have a plan, I feel like all of us go in at least with a rough plan. I don't really write mine out anymore, but I know where I kind of want to start, some other accessory work I want to do. And 90% of the time when I go to my gym, that I said is like a pretty like small gym size wise, but there's always a ton of people at the time I go. I just know I might have to throw caution to the wind and do whatever's open. So as long as you're okay with that and go in almost with a plan of things not being planned, I feel like helps. If you're the type where you write out your routine and you're like, but that machine is taken and that machine is taken, I can't do any of those, or I have to sit here and wait for that to be open, go do a different exercise. Do something similar. And if the hack squat is taken, but the leg press is open, just switch it with leg press today. Just try to be like nimble with your ideas. You can literally
Google it. Like
that too.
You can literally Google, I don't have X, so what is another alternative? Yeah. And you can do that. You don't have to do your workout routine in the exact order. Most of the time you're going to be able to. But there are some times where, like yesterday I went to the gym like an hour later than normal and almost everything was taken. I had to do everything out of order and it was totally fine. I had to wait a little bit for some machines. But once I saw that, I beelined it to that machine, was like, this is mine.
I've also noticed another little thing. If I get to a gym and I'm not expecting it to be busy and it is, I try to do cardio first, not like I'm doing like a heavy cardio workout, but I go on the treadmill, I walk. As I walk,
scope it out.
Exactly. Scan the room, what's open, what isn't, get an idea. Is everyone in here training legs? Because I've definitely gone in and everyone's training legs.
And I'm like, you guys, why are you training legs on my leg day?
But no, I've literally changed it and been like, okay, I rather push my workout and train legs tomorrow, hit upper body today. All these upper body machines and free weights are open. Yes. Let's just do that instead. Exactly. You have to be open to like changing what you're doing that day.
There's literally like, especially like, let's just think about hip thrusts. There's like 5 million different ways to do hip thrusts. You can do it on a pre-set hip thrust machine. You can do it on the Smith machine. You can do it on a barbell. That's 33.
You can even do
you
dumbbell.
Can do a dumbbell and add a little pad. You can do glute bridges on the floor where you set up a mat and you have like a preloaded weight. You could do it. There's so many different ways that you could do it. You just got to use the Google.
Be creative.
You got to be creative. And like on the topic of that, there's gym anxiety around like wondering if you're doing things right. I'm not going to lie. Yesterday, I have this new kickback that I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to get the form down right. And I've been having trouble. Yesterday, I literally pulled up a how-to video on how to do it. And I literally watched it while I was doing it. I kind of sat in the corner and then I like set up my feet, and I still do that. I've been lifting for years. I'm a pro bodybuilder, and I still look up videos on how to do form in the middle of the gym. Or I ask people.
I do that too.
Straight up.
I'll Google because of my social anxiety. Nothing wrong with that, but I'll definitely look something up either beforehand or literally while I'm doing it just to make sure I'm doing it right. And then also, what was I going to say? Oh, I try to do everything super light. Even if it's an exercise I've done.
I did like 7 pounds.
Exactly. It could be hip thrust that I've done every week for the last 3 years. And still I'll start with like as light as I can on there as my warm-up set to make sure, does my form feel good? Sometimes machines are like broken or something's off. Like it's good to test something. Or you're not
as strong as you were last week, and that's normal.
Because I've definitely gotten that like anxious, embarrassed feeling because I've gone too heavy off the jump on something and been like, oh, well, now this is awkward. People are going to realize I'm like taking all my weights off. First off, they're not, but I get that. So I rather start light and then slowly, like very gradually add than be like, oh, I bet I could do 3 plates on this and it's a new machine and it's weighted differently. And now it's so heavy and you're failing and then you're embarrassed. So that's something you can do to like almost avoid that, is just by starting light. Yeah,
starting really small. I did that yesterday where literally, I think 2 weeks ago, I was easily doing 5 plates on each side for my hip thrusts. And it literally one guy I was doing 4 plates and a 25 or something like that. And he was calling out to me and he goes, you can easily do 5 plates. So then I was doing 5 plates. And then this week I thought, I did it last week. I could do it again. I just like threw on 4 plates in the 25 and I was like,
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah,
It'd be
no,
like that.
It's not the day. It's not the
I
day.
get that same way. And I think that goes kind of into another gym anxiety, which is common, which is failing. I think a lot of people are like, okay, I don't have a spotter. I'm here by myself. I really want to shoulder press 45s, but I've never done it. And you're terrified. I think there's a few things you can do to combat that. One, I mean, it's so easy to be like, don't care if you do fail. I feel like that's the most obvious, but it's the hardest to actually accomplish because like I feel like it's natural to feel embarrassed when you fail at anything you do, especially in front of other people. But I promise you, no one's paying attention. And then if you feel comfortable, I've definitely asked strangers for a spot and been like, hey, I've never done this weight before. That kind of like alleviates, speaking it out to someone alleviates a little bit of that fear. Be like, hey, I've never done this. Do you mind just like standing there or spotting me on my first one until I see how it feels? And if they say no, they're a bad person. Like that is not on you. I have never had someone say no. I've also had people ask me, and if anything, I feel honored that they like chose me to spot them. So I don't think it's bad to ask for help ever, especially when you're trying something new. If anything, the people around you should and probably will hype you up, if anything.
For sure. At my gym, that's literally there's a girl that was doing a hack squat and she's doing a lot of weight, and my toxic trait is spotting people even if they don't ask. And because I saw her and I was like, she's struggling. I ran over there and I was like, let's go. And then Alexa ran over. She's like, come on. She ended up doing a lot more.
So wholesome.
And it's like, if you start putting that energy out there, you're going to get it back. I know like my gym is very camaraderie based and like everybody cheers everybody on, which is amazing. And like you said, find a friend, even like if you're more comfortable with a girl, find a girl that like you can count on to help spot you. So maybe she's there at your time and you can have her, but most likely strangers are more nice than we let them out to be. Exactly. They will want to help you.
Yeah. There was this one time I distinctly remember, because I usually don't ask for help. I like definitely, it's not even a pride thing. It's more of a I don't want to talk to strangers thing. Yeah. There was this one time, I think it was literally shoulder pressing 45s, which is something I don't typically do. So I like went to like kick up, tried for the first one, failed, put it down. I was like, I laughed to myself a little. I was like, that was a little embarrassing. And then the gym was kind of empty, but still people were definitely there and they probably did see me fail. No one was probably thinking of anything, but I did a quick scan and like the first person to lock eyes with me, I was like, do you mind coming here? And they were like, yeah, what's up? I was like, I just failed on this. Can you just help me get it up? And then like, you're good and you can go back.
Literally just need that help getting it, especially for shoulder press. I'm always like, okay, the lift off. Just need a lift off.
That's the hardest part for sure.
And then you might be good to go.
Yeah.
And this is one of the biggest fears that I had when I was starting my fitness journey or whatever, because my goal was so much to build muscle and to put on size. And the thing is if you continue to let this fear rule your life, you're never going to get to the results that you want. If you're always just sticking at the same weight that you know that you can push because you're afraid to fail in front of other people, then you're always going to just stay there. So getting out of this comfort zone by asking other people for help and even just doing one rep. I don't care if it's just one rep. There was so many times that I literally, when I was like trying to push like 25s, I would just get one rep for the shoulder press and that was it. But it doesn't matter because that's one rep more than you did last week.
For sure.
And that is literally the definition of progress.
Exactly.
Literally.
And then as you get used to asking for help, or like maybe you go to the gym at the same time every day, you do start to see familiar faces.
Yes.
Like become acquainted with these people. They're also there alone. They're also like kind of probably anxious or nervous.
Yes.
Like those are good people. Like the girl you went and hyped up, I'm sure when you see her now, like she remembers you as being like a friendly face. So it's just important to support other people too. Never be like rude to anyone in the gym intentionally.
Now, like with the gym I go to, I have like literally like 10 to 20 people that can potentially spot me at any given time, which is cool.
Befriended the people that work at my gym. I feel like that's helped me because I'm like, at least the front desk people, if I ever need help, I know I can ask them. Or if I'm anxious, I know I can go like crack a joke with them and I'll
they're
feel
working,
better.
so it's not like you're interrupting them. You know? It's like, well, you're interrupting their work.
Yeah, I feel like they don't mind stepping away.
So let's move into another gym, a fear, anxiety, which is body image. And I feel like one of the ones that we got the most on our little poll that we did was not looking like the fitness inspos that you might follow on social media, which I know can be super difficult, but like, here's the thing is that you're never going to look like them. And that sounds very harsh, but it's a good thing you're never going to look like them because you're genetically gifted in so many other aspects that there might be someone that's looking at you and that's like, I want to be like her. And that's the crazy part, is that you never think that about yourself. You never think that anyone's looking at you in admiration. Like we talked about before, we're always just thinking the worst, but you're never going to look like them, because we're all beautifully different and unique, different shapes, different sizes. Some are tall, some are short. Some have more muscular upper body. Some have more muscular lower body. Some people hold fat in their glutes and they have the giant glutes and teeny waists, or some people have abs year round, but like struggle to build muscle.
Yeah.
And it's so true, because there's literally, like, out of my group of friends that I have at the gym, like, all of us have such different body types. And that's what makes bodybuilding so cool.
I think it's like beautiful.
When you look on stage, we literally see from the shortest, which is like, I think one of the shortest girls on stage is like, they're 5 foot, 5'2", all the way to like 6 foot, which can be like Angela Borges, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what makes bodybuilding amazing, is that not one body is exactly alike. So you get to go on stage and see all these different physiques, and it's really cool. So just because you're not going to look exactly like your fitness inspo doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that.
I think another reminder is, most of the time your fitness inspo doesn't also look like herself.
Doesn't look like herself, or isn't even the same height as you.
Yeah.
Or any. I would look at girls that were I would follow girls that were naturally thin, naturally very, very petite, and had abs year round. And that's just not me.
Yeah.
Couldn't be me.
Yeah.
And I found that finding girls that were like at least in my height range, built muscle similar to me, had muscle bellies that looked like me, that was more realistic, because we were built the same. And I wasn't looking at Miss Long, lean, and tall.
Yeah. I think it's good to be motivated by people. I think it's good to have like one or two people you can look up to, and like that. I always use Bahar, because she's just like my dream physique. And I think I might be a little taller than her, but she still has like kind of longer muscle bellies.
Yes.
But that's someone I know I will never look like. I will never look like her for many reasons, like body type, genetics, how long she's been training. She's much older than me.
Yes.
You never know what like performance enhancers people are taking. Not saying her, I'm just saying people in general. So those are all reasons I don't compare myself to her, but I use her as motivation. So I think that's like important too, to kind of keep that separate, like kind of put that like barrier or boundary up where you can be motivated by someone without like wanting to be that person.
Exactly. When anybody comments like, I want to look like you, or I want to be like you, I always say, no, you don't. I want you to be you.
Yeah.
You know, I never want anyone to think that.
I do agree with like finding people with similar body types to look up to is important, because like I will never be Francielle, you know, like she is 6 inches shorter than me. Like it's never going to work.
Versus like me, I'm like, okay, that's realistic. I'm like, she's my height.
You have the same
But then
shape.
you also have to think like she's literally in her late 30s. And you have to also think about like how much time and effort and consistency this person has put into their training. And maybe you're a newbie and it does seem like it's so far off. But eventually with time and patience and consistently, you can be that person that someone else is like looking up to and like, oh, well, how did you do that?
Yeah, you are always someone's goal physique. Someone is always looking at you in the gym with admiration. Like I literally, every girl at the gym, I will instinctively find something about her that I admire or I'll like appreciate the work she's putting in. It's always something. And if I'm thinking that way, odds are other people are too. So I also think like pay compliments. I see this one girl, I don't know how, and I want to ask her about her magic. Not saying, I mean, she worked so hard. She's there every day when I'm there, and I go at random times, which is alarming, which means she's there a long time. But her butt has grown like it has to be like 6 inches in the last year.
Oh, wow.
Like her glutes are my absolute goal. And every time I see her now, I'll be like, you look amazing. And that's something she might not think, because I can tell she's kind of like a quote unquote loner like me. She always has her headphones in. She's always kind of in like the corners of the gym. And she probably assumes the same way I assume that people are looking at her in a negative sense. And I was like, I admire her every time I walk in. Why don't I tell her that? Why don't you tell a girl you like her outfit if you like her outfit, or that you notice their progress if you notice their progress? Like, I think that's something we can all be better at.
For sure.
Especially me. I think with my like anxiety of going up to people, I'm scared they're going to react a certain way, but like just send a quick compliment. Be like, you look amazing.
Because
move on.
Can, that little moment can get someone out of their own self-conscious like BS that they might be talking about to themselves. Like maybe they're standing there and going like, I'm having the worst day. I'm not seeing progress. I feel like I look like X, Y, and Z. I wish I was further along. And some stranger comes up to you and says like, you know what? You're killing it.
Yeah.
You can literally get them out of their crap.
Yeah.
If you just got a little
Spread more
courage.
positivity.
Spread more positivity, guys. So moving into another gym kind of fear is losing progress or taking time off. A lot of people get like scared about rest days, and you first start getting training and
This
you're like,
was me for so
if I
long.
train all day every day, then I'll get progress faster. And little do you know that like taking those rest days are so, like, today's my rest day and I literally couldn't be happier. I also like wish that I can go to the gym, but it's more so because it's a part of my routine. But I know that I need this, and overtraining isn't going to get you to the results that you want.
Not at all.
It can really just cause damage, like inflammation, chronic fatigue. It can also stunt your gains because you're never giving your body that time to recover. Because what happens when you're lifting, you're literally tearing your muscle tissue. And if you continue, like, just imagine muscle tissue tearing. And every time you go to the gym, it does that. So you're constantly tearing it. And when you sleep and when you have rest days, it starts coming back together and healing. If you never do that, you never have time to heal.
Yeah, you're
Thus,
just damaging.
muscle gains be damned.
Yes. I love how you said that. I was that way for so long, where
Same.
you would have to like force me not to go to the
I
gym
would literally
7
be
days a
pulling
week.
you out of the gym. She'd be like, no, let me stay.
Please.
1 more hour.
Yeah, same. I used to also be there for like at least 2 hours a day. And now I'm like, most of my workouts are less than an hour. Maybe a leg day will go a little longer because I need to take rest between my sets. Like, I feel like it's so easy to become obsessed or feel like you're going to lose all of your progress by taking even a day off, let alone multiple days off. And I think if anything is a testament, I just want you to know, I was in so much pain for the last 2 months. I was having a lot of chronic pain. I've talked about my stomach issues on here a little bit, just like bloating, uncomfortableness. Headaches were insane. I couldn't train upper body without having my traps and headache hurt the next day. So it's really frustrating. We went to Costa Rica. I took a full week off. Did not care once that I was resting. Did not care once. I came back feeling so much better. My workouts have been so much stronger. I feel less fatigued. My headaches are gone. You need to listen to your body, and I wasn't, because I just was on this train of, well, I can't slow down, I can't stop, or I'm going to lose all my progress. And it's no, if you slow down and stop, your progress is going to become so much better when you start again.
It's so true.
And it's so hard to get used to that.
It is really hard to nail that into you. Sometimes it has to be something really dramatic for you to change, and that's what happened to me. It's I had been training when I first started every single day, wasn't giving my body rest, the whole thing, and I was doing pull-ups one day, and I had a tension headache that was so bad that I dropped from the bar to the ground, and literally was and it felt like my whole head was spinning. It felt like it was a bag of rocks, and I was dizzy, and I was like, okay. And you would have thought that at that moment I would have left the gym immediately. No, I tried to do another set and it happened again.
Insane.
And then I went to the chiropractor and he adjusted me, and I had an instant relief because of just how much stress I was carrying on my shoulders from overtraining and just lifting so much. And so sometimes you need a little kick in the ass in order to force you to do that.
Yeah, Julia and I both take, I believe, 2 rest days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we only train 5 days a week. And that's even sometimes I'll take 3 rest days a week, and I notice that my body looks a lot better because I'm not inflamed, because I'm not stressed out, and I'm not putting a lot of stress on my muscles, or like you said, overtraining. I noticed also all of my lifts were getting weaker in my legs, and I'm but I'm training them more. That doesn't make sense. And it's yes, it does, because you're still extremely sore and fatigued from your last leg day. You need to take another day in between so that you can recover, so you can train to your full potential. You can't do that if you're overtraining.
Yeah. I was literally watching, Christian Guzman is doing another summer shredding series on his YouTube channel. And I think that he's competing in the Chicago show.
I think he competes this week.
Yeah.
Right?
His YouTube videos are a little bit behind. So the show might have already happened. But I'm not really sure. So anyways, I was doing my post-workout cardio after training yesterday, and I'm watching his video, and he's literally on peak week, and he didn't train a day that he was supposed to be training. He goes, literally, it was lights out for me. He's I have those moments where I just know that if I don't take a rest day, that I am going to be severely sorry. And he literally slept from 8 p.m. till 2 p.m. the next day.
Oh my God.
And he's I feel so much better today. He's sometimes, even though my program says to do X, I have to do Y.
Yeah.
And he
felt probably looked leaner too,
Yeah,
from being less watery from stress.
Literally, inflammation from overtraining will show up on your body. There was one time where I was overtraining for a competition, and Zach gave me like 2 rest days off, and he gave me some extra carbs, and my body dropped like 3 to 5 pounds that next day.
Crazy.
Literal science, bro.
Yeah.
And it worked because I was just so inflamed. I was fatigued. I was carrying stress from having to compete at a high potential or whatever. I was stressing myself out.
I think similarly, this can also, I know we're talking about just gym anxiety, but I feel like it's related enough. Nutrition anxiety too, of taking a break from your diet or having a cheat meal. Like, I feel like when you're in that first stage of progress, you're like, one piece of pizza is going to ruin everything I've done. And it's like, no, sometimes you actually need diet breaks or refeeds or like a little bit higher carb or sugar for a day to restart your metabolism. So similarly with rest days, it's also good to take less frequently, but still a rest from your diet plan just for a day, like, or just for one meal. You don't have to go for like a whole week off, though some people do get to that drastic point where they need a full week of higher carb. And it'll do the same positive effects for your body. You're going to be less inflamed, less stressed. Your metabolism's going to kick in a little harder. Most of the time, breaks are doing more good than harm.
Yeah, I mean, even if we're just talking about bodybuilding, like on peak week, that's what happens. Like you're on such low calories and you're like on a pretty harsh diet, and then you hear people doing carb loading, and when people start loading with carbs, they end up dropping weight.
I usually drop like at least 5 pounds on
like 5 to some
from
people,
not training and eating more.
Exactly. And that's literal science that happens during peak week. Like literal science. It is. It's crazy. Cause like, for example, you're dieting for months on end, and then your peak week comes around, and sometimes half the peak week, you're still pretty strict on your diets. And then you start carb loading. And my last prep, I went from like 140 to like 131 in my peak week, like from doing this diet break with the carb loading. It's literal science. Silence.
I think something similar is a lot of people hit plateaus in their journey, and that causes a lot of fear and anxiety of like, well, what am I doing wrong? Or why am I not making progress anymore? I must be like moving backwards. And it's like most of the time plateaus are super normal. Whether I'm trying to bulk, I usually plateau at a certain weight, like going up, or when I'm cutting, I plateau at a certain weight going down. It's usually weirdly around the same weight. I think our body just gets used to certain things. That's when it's
your body is like, yo, I don't want to go this low.
Exactly.
And that's what happens because like, especially when you're cutting, your body is used to being at a certain weight and having a certain amount of energy and strength. And this happens a lot with bodybuilding prep, especially with me. Like when my body right now doesn't want to move past the weight that it is now. I've roughly been like the same weight this whole prep, but I've lost body fat every single month, at least 2% body fat every single month. And I've built muscle. And eventually what we have to do in order to get my body to be past that weight is we have to either drop calories or we have to increase cardio or both. And then I'll go to a new set point and a new weight, and your body, like each drop that it does, it really doesn't want to go there because it's not used to being there. So yeah, a plateau might be happening.
I think you just have to stay consistent and not freak out about it, and like trust the process, especially every time I'm in prep. That is my motto, trust the process. Because sometimes my weight has gone up in prep and I'm like, that is literally impossible with the amount of cardio and calories I'm eating. There's no way I'm gaining weight. And most of the time it's just water or hormones or stress, or I'm getting my period. Like, or it's muscle. Something. Exactly. And then the following week I'll be like down another 2 pounds, and you're like, oh, that was all in my head. So it's not anything I think is worth stressing over. If you hit a plateau, just stay consistent, stay on your plan, reassess if you do need to drop even lower, or if you do need a day or two break to kind of reset yourself.
Exactly. Because it might be you need a break. It might be that maybe you do need to do another like little calorie drop. Or if you're plateauing like with your gains in the gym, maybe you need a new workout program. Maybe you've been doing the same workout program for so long and your body's so used to it, and it's like, I don't really feel anything anymore. Like I'm getting kind of bored. Maybe start another one for another 4 to 6 week stint, and then you'll be excited again. You're working your muscles in a different way, and you can potentially grow them more.
Yes.
And then the last one, this has never been a problem for me, but like I'm happy that it hasn't. I'm surprised, but being injured, like what, have you ever been injured in the gym?
I mean, I have a lot of like chronic injuries.
I'm just chronically broken.
I'm in chronic pain. But I've never, knock on wood right now, I've never like broken a bone or anything. I got surgery on my ankle when I was really early in my fitness routine, and Honestly, like I feel like I still ended up training. Like I would go to the
Yeah.
gym in my boot and like just kind of make do by like
Yeah.
doing the bike, doing lower impact things, like maybe not putting weight on my ankle, but still training upper body and doing what I
Yeah.
could do.
Yeah, people were saying that they just like get anxious about being injured and and not going to the gym and losing progress. The one thing that I want you to think about here, especially like with the story that I told you earlier of like me literally like dropping to the floor and having like that chronic migraine, that tension headache from overtraining, to not let it to get to that point. And if you continue to keep training and ignoring these things and going to the gym when you're injured, thinking about taking a little time off now from an injury or pushing it to the point where it gets so bad that you have to take a long time off.
Yeah.
Which one would you rather have?
Yeah.
I think
Probably.
the answer is clear.
Yep.
But then also, just like you were saying, that if you do get injured, you can still go to the gym depending. Also, talk to your doctor. We're not a doctor.
Yeah, no.
Depending on what it is, there's other things that you can do.
Yeah.
Like, for example, there was this girl that messaged me and she has an injury to where she can't train her legs. I was like, girl, you could still do upper body. You could still go in there and train upper body. So
You're
that
still burning calories.
yeah,
in
so that you're
state.
going and burning calories. You're still motivated to go to the gym. It might be sad that you can't train legs anymore, but at least you still have that routine of going and you're still progressing in some sort of way. Obviously, injuries are different and it depends on what's wrong to see like what you can continue to train, even if you're going. I've seen literally people going to the gym in boots.
Yeah,
Like you
I've
said.
done it.
Yeah.
I've done it. Yeah. One thing that I know from all of my clients that have ever like called out from a workout from like even just being sick, I feel like kind of tails into like injury, just like having to miss the gym unintentionally. I always tell them on days like that, if you have a headache, if you're having like a pain that maybe is new and you're like afraid to train, focus on nutrition through that period. Like that's a good time to like,
very true.
because if you aren't going to the gym because you literally can't, say your injury is really bad or you're really sick, like something you can't do or control there, you can still control what you do outside of the gym that keeps you healthy. Because if you just say like F it to both and now you're eating bad and not going to the gym, you're going to create that habit. And then when you are healthy enough to go, you're not going to be
creating
motivated.
the exact thing that you didn't want to happen.
Exactly.
Like
yeah.
that was what was hard for me when I got my boobs done, was not being able to go to the gym.
Yeah.
But
That
then
one's
there was
common, too.
there was like a certain point where I was allowed to do cardio, and then at that point, 3 weeks I was allowed to do cardio, and then at like 5 weeks I was allowed to do lower body, and then like so I could still do some things, but there are things that you can do at home
Yeah.
to still keep yourself active, like watching your nutrition.
Yeah. Just don't do anything to make the injury worse, because then, like Julia said, you're going to be out even longer, and that's just going to like make all of this fear and
you're
like,
gonna kick yourself.
yeah, exactly.
Yes, we don't want you to be out of the gym that long.
We don't want you guys having anxiety in general. I hope listening to us and our anxieties and what we kind of do helps you. Just remember, no one's looking at you in the gym. If they are, it's 90% of the time because they're spacing out or it's something positive. Rarely are we judging people. And if you feel like you're at a gym where you are getting judged all the time, might be time to get a new gym.
Oh yeah, I love my new gym. Like I can walk around there and feel very safe and secure because I have a lot of friends there now, which has never been the case for me, and I love it. And it's new. It's definitely new because I've never had that before. So find some buddies that you can have at the gym to spot you if you feel like you're going to fail on something. Tell people if you love what they're wearing, because maybe you're going to make their day. Put the energy out there that you want to receive. And if you're anxious at the gym, set intentions before you go in. Have a plan. Go to the bathroom and hide like Kendall and I do for a little bit. Do a little bit of deep breathings, and you'll be fine.
It's all going to work out. You're there for you. Don't let anyone else ruin that experience.
Big facts. And as always, we love you all so much, and you're more powerful than you think.
Bye.